Um, First of all, I want to thank you guys for always organizing these discussions, these forums. These are very, very important forums and discussions, of course. Um, I was reflecting last week on the resiliency and the ability of the Ethiopian people to organize and resist this domination. And I was looking all over the continent, and I could not find any other group of people who have put up this kind of resistance recently. I mean, resistance and organization. Recently, Europe was trying to bully Uganda by passing a legislation in the European Parliament uh, to try to block the East Africa oil pipeline, which is around 4 billion project, and is supposed to unlock around 10 more billion dollars, which are supposed to be injected into the East African economy. But you cannot see any East African people, either from Tanzania and Kenya, maybe apart from it, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who answered back, and then the president of Uganda supported him. But the people did not have this spirit of organizing themselves. So I want to commend you guys for putting up this fight, because this fight is not only for you, but it's for us. It's for waking other parts of the continent up. Because I remember in reading Nkrumah's autobiography, uh, which he wrote, Nkrumah said that when he went to the United States and Ethiopia was attacked by Italy, that time he was still in the United States studying. Nkrumah said that he felt a lot of pain, that it 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 went inside. It felt like they have attacked him and killed him. So he wanted to find a way either of flying from the United States and coming to Ethiopia to fight, because he felt that they have touched, Africa where they should not be touching it. So I want to commend you guys for this effort. This is not to suggest that the other Africans are inferior. As you know, if we say that Ethiopians are superior to the other Africans on the continent, then the others, they will start having suspicion, and you know what suspicion can bring. Suspicion is of Nkrumah in 1963 is what led to us failing to get a union government, because other leaders were suspecting Nkrumah because of his passion. So uh, yeah, so that one I want to put it there. I had you know different people talking about this United Nations, and I've been following myself this United Nations General Assembly, the 77th that is going on right now. And it is very interesting because the world is going through a lot of changes right now. And I believe that we are living at an historical moment. Historical uh, because history repeats itself. If you look at the things that are going on today, as the speaker who's going down, he mentioned a couple of things in his analysis, the weakness of the United States. That is not only the only thing, also the weakness of Europe. When you look at the pound is at a 30-year low, at that almost 40-year low, and I really don't think it may even come back to be that strong. And the United States is going down. So all of them are going down. So this is an opportunity for us as Africans to put up a very, very good fight, a very good fight. And as I have consistently said in the past, I think the Ethiopian people, in their admirable ability to organize, are going to play a very pivotal role in the liberation of this continent. A very, very pivotal role. Because if we do not learn as Ethiopian people, if we do not learn that we are supposed to play a pivotal role, then this problem will keep cycling. You imagine the role which Emperor Haile Selassie played in the formation of the Organization of African Unity. Because if it was not him, that organization, even if it has failed, to perform to expectation, but it is symbolic, the spirit of Pan-Africanism is brought it up and it was planted. So that spirit of forming a union government was planted now that it cannot be now removed. We are working towards it. So it is a symbol that we are working towards it. Imagine if it was not formed, that we remained disintegrated. So Haile Selassie played a pivotal role because remember, the Casablanca and Morovia group had separated and they were warring against each other. They didn't want even to meet each other. But Emperor Haile Selassie worked so hard and brought these people together. So it is from that history that I want you people to pay attention to, that Ethiopia, looking at the position right now which Prime Minister Abiy is occupying, and if you look at his speech from the just ended 35th ordinary session of the African Union, it was a very powerful speech. It was one of the most powerful speech I think that have been given in the last 20 years. That speech, many people have not read it, but it's a very, very powerful speech. There's no speech was given there that is as powerful as that speech. So Ethiopia is going to play a very pivotal role. So I think that we should not underestimate these efforts that you are engaged in right now, and this should show you also that you have the responsibility of leading this struggle and mobilizing and waking up the consciousness of the other Africans who are still sleeping. I've been to a couple of Pan-African organizations. They want to do the thing, but there is a lot of disorganization and there's lack of commitment. I've been to a couple of them, many of them, and I've been searching. My reason for going there is that I've been searching for answers. What can we do as Pan-Africanists? What is it that we're supposed to do to contribute to the liberation of the continent? But there's a lot of disorganization, and the true organization have really found it in you guys. The work which you have done, the normal movement, it is really admirable. Just the recent, march on the White House in Washington. These are incredible, efforts. So the question is now, what are we going to do, from these discussions? Do we have something that we are looking at that we want to do, we want to achieve with this struggle? If you are talking about the United Nations giving seats to the African Union, because I've been hearing about, I had Russia recently, Sergei Lavrov, he gave a press conference, I think yesterday. He was talking about that it is possible they could consider India to give a seat to India, maybe also Brazil or something. So I don't know, but I think this is something also which should have concerned us as Africans, because Africans have been asking for a seat at the United Nations since the 1960s. I had somebody talking about when this struggle started, and they played. I think it was Poetic Justice who played President Mugabe. But this asking for a seat at the United Nations actually started in the 1960s, and it started with Nkrumah. It started after the murder of Prime Minister Lumumba in the Congo in the 1960s. So when they murdered him, Nkrumah went to the United Nations, and one of the suggestions which Nkrumah made, he said that Africa has to get seats. It has to get a seat at the United Nations Security Council so that Africa can be able to defend itself with a veto power. So that is where it started. Now, if they are trying to talk about giving a seat to India and Brazil, then that should concern us. So what do we do as Africans? Are we going to do something about it? Like I said, I believe that the normal movement and Ethiopians are going to play a very big role. And I think we need to organize ourselves, either have a petition and deliver it to the chairman of the African Union, I'm not talking about the African Union Commission, but the African Union, who is currently Macky Sall. In Senegal, we could deliver a letter to him, maybe, and the other African governments, which we see that they are a little bit progressive. And I heard you guys talking about Nigeria also. Myself, I would not second Nigeria to have a seat. So these are, when we agree, these are these are decisions or suggestions which we can agree on, and we write a letter and we put them inside, or a memo or something, and we put them and we say, if two seats are going to be given on the continent, looking at the analysis which we have made from the strategic point of view of the African continent itself, and then the geopolitics of the world, how it is moving, and the influence which the United States has. Like Nigeria, is so much into the hands of the Europeans and the United States. We cannot allow that. South Africa right now has shown South Africa is a potential candidate. Even in the past, they have spoken about it. So I think that countries like Nigeria and Ghana, which are playing so much in the hands of neo-colonialism, if you look at the Ghanaian president's speech recently, such countries, we don't mention them if we are recommending countries that are supposed to, to represent the continent. So we could put in Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa. These are just my own suggestions. But to wrap it up, so that I don't waste so much time, I think that we need to decide what is supposed to be done, but mobilizing the Pan-African forces, I think is very, very important, because that will help to wake up the consciousness of the other Pan-African, groups that are sleeping or are lost. They don't know what to do. So we need to set the agenda, and then, we call them on board. And that needs dedication. It needs like full-time people, maybe one or two people, because we have to understand, like I say, we are in revolutionary, moment. We are in a revolutionary moment. We are in a historical moment that we can't lose this opportunity when the United States and Europe is weak. These are the moments when our people have always struggled and got, breakthroughs. Like when you are talking about 1945, Europe was very weak. That is when our people got a gap to get independence. Even when you look at slavery, how it was defeated, it was starting around 1791. France and Britain were fighting against each other, and they were very weak. That time, the United States had not risen to power. So Europe was weak. The superpowers in Europe, which was France and Britain and Spain, were very weak. So these guys in Haiti, they saw that opportunity over there, because France and Britain were fighting against each other, and they started fighting against France, in Haiti. And these guys, they fought for 13 years, and they won independence. They were able to beat Britain, France, and beat Spain. So these are all openings. So even today, when you come to today and you look at it and you analyze it very well, you can see that the events of today that are happening, things are happening, around the world, are very similar to those periods of 1945 and 1791, if you are a very good student of history. So those things are written in there. If you read there's a book which was written by C.L.R. James called it Black Jacobins, which chronicles the events of Haiti. So I examined the events, and I saw that the things are very, very similar, so much similar to what is happening today. But to keep it up, also, if you read this book called by Ray Dalio, I think most of you who are living in the United States know Ray Dalio, who's the biggest hedge fund manager, Bridgewater Associates. He wrote a book called, I think, Principles of Dealing with the Changing World Order, How Nations Rise and Fall. So he's also talking about these things, that we are living in a historical moment whereby the world is changing. There's a new changing world order. Power is being transferred right now. So these are the moments that we are supposed to intensify also our efforts. Because remember, in the first phase, when the Europeans, these Western people, they attacked, Ethiopia, starting last, I think 2020, after the COVID. You people, the new movement was able to organize and win the first round. The second round, also it was warned when they wanted to come in and attack. So all these things have been warned consistently. So it is just necessary right now to intensify the struggle and spread it all over the continent. Mali has already shown the signs. It is very tired of France. The signs are there. Guinea, all those places that and France is also showing that it is weak. It cannot, answer. It cannot respond, to the demands of the people that are going on. So Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea. So even Burkina Faso and Mali, they met about 2 weeks ago to discuss, those guys who carried out the coups. And so if you add Guinea also is contesting and is fighting against France. So France cannot hold those territories anymore. It cannot continue. So we have to like link up with these people. We find a way diplomatically how to work with them, work with Zimbabwe and then Ethiopia. So if we organize ourselves and we have some full-time people, at least let us dedicate some little money, aside, even if we have one person, two people, we have a secretariat. We can have a virtual secretariat, and then we start, moving forward slowly, slowly. We review, we move forward slowly, stuff like that. So it doesn't take 1 year. It takes these periods. They take, a long time for you to break through, to raise the consciousness of the people to a certain level. Like what I said, what happened in Haiti and what happened with the independence in the Gold Coast. It took almost 12 years when Nkrumah came back in 1947, and he started struggling until 1957. That's the period of 10 years. And in Haiti also, I pointed out for you, it was between 1791 up to 1804. That is a period of 13 years. So it takes a period, of consistently doing the same thing, saying the same thing. So that is what I wanted to contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. We appreciate your presence here.